Hey! You could ask for consent, you bloody chicken. Rooster. Whatever. Hi! Welcome back to my channel and my tiny house in which I live with my bunny. So last week I attempted to make a dress, but I didn't have enough fabric, which is why last week's video wasn't me making a dress, but something else. Well, I got some new fabric. It's a linen fabric. It's quite a bit darker than I anticipated. It's a bit more aubergine rather than pink. But I think I like it. And hopefully this time it's going to be enough. That's the goal. It's just to be enough. So what dress I was planning to make is this dress from Demeter, but a bit more like this dress. I kind of want to have buttons and then have the neckline higher up, because I don't know, that's kind of what I wanted. Yeah. God, the weather is, I want to say awful because it's raining, but to be honest, I really enjoy rain. I needed rain right now, just to do not feel guilty of sitting inside my house and not doing anything outside. Also, although the lighting is definitely a little bit more shit when it's raining, I can do it in privacy filming, because there are no tourists, my neighbors are inside their houses, so nobody's walking by, which makes this a whole lot less awkward. But yeah, so I'm going to make the Demeter dress, but with a little twist. How I think of achieving that is using the Demeter dress pattern, but I'm using this pattern to try and figure out the neckline and the button placing. I don't know. We're just gonna wait and see. That's this week, and hopefully I will be a whole lot more successful as last week. So, as I said, I used two patterns. The first pattern is from the Demeter dress. I used that as base, and then I laid the Antoinette shirt on top of it for the neckline and the buttons. I did this keeping in mind the sew allowance that were on one pattern included and the other pattern weren't included, so it would match up nicely, and I also cut accordingly. So, and then it's time for cutting, and of course after cutting I stopped working on the project. I procrastinated. I made a pie. Entirely for myself. And while I waited on the pie to be ready, I went and sewed the dots and finished off the edges with a zigzag stitch. If you have a serger, then do that, but I don't have a serger. I only have a sewing machine, so I did zigzag stitches, which just work out fine. And then I could finally start assembling things, so I laid the front and back pieces with the right sides facing each other and pinned together the shoulders and sew that in place, of course. Next up is ironing on the interfacing for the buttons and ironing a 1 centimeter sew allowance around the neckline and using that fold line as a guide to pin the bias tape into place so I can make like a nice finish edge and sew that in place, and then fold the bias tape so that the finish edge is very neat. And before I sewed that in place, I first folded the button strip twice on each little marking that the pattern said I should do. So I did that. On the top, like right around the edge, just fold it inwards so that everything is neatly tucked away, and then sew it all in place. And then it was time to do some more procrastination because the pie was ready. So I ate the pie and I drank some tea. It was nice. But that said, I do not recommend making an entire pie for yourself. It's not of a lack of trying, because I did try. Like the first day I ate 4 pieces, but towards the end I wasn't able to eat it all before it went bad. Meaning I stayed up night puking because it went bad, and I ate it and my stomach did not enjoy it. So don't do that. Then it's time to pin the sleeves to the bodice and sew the sleeves to the bodice, and then pin the bodice together and sew that again. Fold the hems of the sleeves. First a 1 seam hem and then the rest. And sew it in place. And then next to is this, sew the 4 buttonholes. And this I didn't record, I just did that in the evening. It was sew the button to the bodice. That's the bodice. Now go for the skirt, which finally the rest of the skirt did appear. I might have accidentally did the same thing and just ordered a little too little to finish this dress. But luckily they still had it, so I ordered a tiny piece for the other half of the skirt, so I could actually make the dress. I started off with sewing the pockets to the skirt, and of course also the gather stitch on the top bits of the skirt halves. And then it's time to put right sides of the skirts together and pin it along the sides, including the pockets, and then sew it in place so you have a nice little tube. And then it was time to hem the dress. Try to aim for a straight hem. I'm not certain if I really did that, but you know, I did a hem and then sew that in place. And with the gather stitch, you're going to pin the skirt to the bodice, right sides together, and sew that in place. You might think it's finished now, but it's not. You first have to iron the seam allowance up and then sew a nice edge stitch or a top stitch. I can't remember what they're called, but basically a stitch to keep the sew allowance in place. And then you're done. forget to subscribe if you liked my videos. I have more, so subscribe if you want to see them. And like and comment, because that would really help me. Also, I'm still working on really finishing my outdoor project. As you can see here, I'm just getting some chicken wire in place so that my bunny won't escape. Also, I still haven't have my shadow thing. I will make that soon. So, bye! See you hopefully next week. It seems to be that the sun is gone for now. It's raining. It's fine. Rain is fine.